Okay, so this I'll give you a few tips on the piece and things to think about when you're practicing it. So although the piece looks like it's just arpeggios, like in a C major shape like this, the important thing is that there's some little accents in there, and that highlights the melody notes. So the melody in this piece, I think you should practice it on its own, and the melody is just the E, G, E, G, E, A, G, F, E, G, E, G sharp, E, A, C, A, F sharp, G, F sharp, G. So that's the melody on its own for the first half there, and I think it's really important that you learn to play that, and maybe you sing along with it or just hum. It doesn't matter if you sing in tune or not. It just matters that you shape the melody. So ya, da, 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 da. You know, it's like a little bit of a push to the higher note, and then a little bit of release when you get the other one, and then the descending part here, da, 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 kind of falling down. Da, 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 that little rise again. So there's all these kind of shapes that occur with this simple melody, and the melody is just tucked into that arpeggio. So that melody in the first bar, E, G, E, just happens in the context of a C chord. E, G, E, and again in a C chord, then in a G chord, then in a C chord. D7 chord, back to G. So lots of opportunities to shape the melody and kind of get really musical with it, even though that melody is so simple and embedded within the arpeggio pattern. So let's talk a little bit about some oddities in the piece and some of the tricky little things and left-hand fingering and right-hand fingering. So let's go over the left hand first. Left hand is pretty basic chord shapes. So you'll be playing things like a C chord, but then you'll just tuck that fourth finger in to get the high G's. That way you can keep on holding onto this note. Don't get distracted. Take that note off and then use the third finger. You got to keep that chord down. Use the fourth finger to get those upper notes. So lots of sustaining of bass notes in this piece. Bar 3 offers a little bit of a challenge. You go to third position, meaning the first finger goes to the third fret, and that shape is easy enough with the fourth finger on the high A there on the 5th fret, and then you get the second finger on the 3rd fret, second finger on the 1st fret, and then back. Now, some people would say, well, why use the second finger on the first fret? Well, the reason for that is you're coming down from this, it leaves the third finger and the first finger free and available to grab that shape of a C chord that comes directly afterwards. So if you didn't do that, you'd have to hop over, and that would create a gap in the melody that would feel like a hiccup in the piece. So that second finger going down is really important. And then you're back to the first position. When you get to bar 5, keep your first finger on the C that you were previously playing and just simply slide it up to the 3rd fret. So you don't have to take your whole hand off, move, and reorient yourself. The bar before, your first finger's on that C, and then you just slide it up. And then the next one, there's not much that you can do. You just have to hop into 5th position. That's first finger at the 5th fret over 3 strings. You just reach out, and this is bar 6. So you just have this shape, this A minor shape, grabbing a C with your 4th finger. And then you're just hopping back, so you have an open D string to hop back. Here, as soon as you hit the last note, I would lift the 3rd finger and get it ready for that bass note, because it'll be holding onto that F. You just have to get it there in time. Second half, much of the same material except one new idea. When you do the C chord here, in order to get that F, instead of hopping the first finger over a fret, you're just going to like lay down your finger on both C and on F. So that's called a pivot bar. Just get close to the camera and show you this. So let me just focus here. So you'd be on the first finger up like this, and then you're going to pivot down like that. If I showed you from this angle, you'd be up on your fingertip, and then suddenly you're going to fold your finger down like that. That's called a pivot bar. So it just kind of helps to incorporate that F into the C chord without disrupting your hand position much. Allowing you to go from the open E to the F to the open E without losing that C shape. And then the next bar, in bar 11, just slide the 4th finger up and back down for that B7 shape. So that 4th finger is just sliding up and then back down. 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Much of the same tricks after that. Bar 13 is a full F chord, so you want to bar all 6 strings with the first finger at the 1st fret, and then grab the A with your 2nd finger, and then G with your 4th finger. Same trick here, pivot bar with the 1st finger, that's that pivot. And then you just have to leap up for the same move as before. So just, there's a few concepts in this piece that make it just a little bit trickier than like a real easy piece. That's why it's in like the RCM grade 3 kind of level area. But it's a nice transitional piece to get you into some movement on the guitar and into some upper positions. And the harmonies are really nice, and it's a really sweet melody. It's Torrega, so when you play classical guitar, a lot of people want to play Torrega, but some of the harder pieces like Lagrima or Capriccio Arabe or something are just a little bit out of reach for beginners, but this is a nice transitional piece that would bring you towards being able to do some more difficult stuff. So there's some good concepts to study. As far as the right hand goes, not much to say. It's basic arpeggios. Thumb, I, M, A, M, I, A, M, I, A, M, I. The only thing you really have to think about is getting this A finger to ring out just a little bit more than usual, because it's the melody. It's controlling the melody. Melody, melody, melody. So that A finger is hitting all those melody notes. So in terms of the balance in the hand, you want the A finger to come out the most because it's the melody, And so you want to balance a little bit of weight onto that finger and have a deeper follow through with that finger. And then probably the next most important note will be the bass note with your thumb. So in terms of importance, your thumb has a kind of a medium loud sound, and then soft, soft. Melody is loud, soft, soft. Melody loud, soft, soft. Melody, soft, soft. So the M and the I finger are going to be pretty soft the whole time. A finger loud, and the thumb is fairly loud just to give bass resonance. So it's kind of a game of balance. When I teach young children, I say the melody's the king and the queen. The thumb or the bass voice is going to be the merchant class or the nobleman. And then the accompaniment fingers are just the peasants. And the peasants can't speak so loud as to overtalk to talk louder than the king and the queen or the nobleman, if we're talking about medieval Europe or something. So maybe that doesn't work for today, but the idea is just that there's a hierarchy in music at this time period and in terms of melody. So you have to kind of create that hierarchy with your right hand and make sure that you're doing it the entire time.